Thank you, and welcome. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you here. I just want to share with you a few perspectives about the industry and my experiences, and I hope some of it will resonate with you. So, in my first CIO role, the peak of the dot-com boom, it was both very exciting, but I was responsible for running Europe's largest telemetry system at the time, so it was quite daunting. Rather like a nuclear reactor, telemetry is not something that you want to be changing in such an environment. So how could you blend those kind of things? Well, the board was interested in knowing how to take advantage of this e-business revolution. Now, you need to bear in mind this was a FTSE 100 utility with a captive customer base and a fixed product. So pundits were saying it was all about the new excitement and we should be grabbing hold of it. And whilst those businesses that sprung to life in that e-business boom were full of hope, ambition, I think those of us that went through it would realise that there were some quite shaky business plans associated with that period. And if truth be told, the technology itself was rather flaky too. But interestingly, it sounds a bit familiar to today, don't you think? We have board expectations in most of the corporate players in the insurance industry with very high expectations. There's lots of excitement, a good dose of punditry and hype. We have funding at unprecedented levels. Everybody is saying that we're in a golden era, and I would agree to a large extent, but there's still some very shaky views of the way the business works. And I think the difference between then and now, of course, is that there are some fundamental shifts in the economic realities of technology. When I was buying hardware, software, infrastructure that time ago, I paid, I think, £1 million for an EMC 3 terabyte storage array. And I thought that was quite good. Today, you could pick one of those up for about £6,000. So the economics are fundamentally shifted. We have technology capability that has enabled seismic shifts in many industries. We can look around us, retail, pharma, motor, medicine. We see shifts in everything that we do. So working with insurance is fascinating, frustrating. It's able to accommodate the most optimistic and the most pessimistic. But we have to ask ourselves a question. Is it faster, cheaper, more enriching for the customer than it was 10 years ago? Having worked previously in a leading insurance player and subsequently, as Sheila mentioned, with some of the large corporates today, none of which I'm going to attribute any of these problems with, the thing that we experience continually, and it's a big surprise, is organisations of very significant size and spend levels on technology who are, and these are real challenges they're facing today, waiting between 2 to 4 years to launch new products. And these are very, very big organisations covering across Europe and the US. They're encountering IT costs alone, even when they're using rules and rating engines of £500,000 to get a new product going. There are others that are living with broker portals that haven't been changed in 8 years. Now, I mean, this to me seems, particularly one, seems very weird because anyone would know that if you improve the customer journey, you make the look and feel of those portals improve, sales will increase. So all of these things point to an industry stifled from product innovation and not able to be truly responsive to customer needs. So looking around at all the technology that's available today, surely the industry can do better. I think more strongly put, the industry is such a huge contributor to the economy. It's an incredibly important part of the way that the UK Inc. works. It's a force for social good. If we go back to the antecedents of Lloyd's, it enables business to progress. It enables businesses to undertake things knowing that the risk in part is covered. So I actually believe it really does deserve better. Of course, a legitimate route to solving some of these challenges might be to put in a big enterprise-wide platform. There are many organisations doing this. They're spending tens of millions of pounds, spending many, many years in these programmes. And I personally have been involved in big system implementations such as SAP and Oracle. And they're great as system of records. But do we think they're really going to deliver agility and responsiveness Do we think they're really going to help Flex be ready for the new distribution channels of the future? I would say not. And further, I would also say that putting in big system implementations is more risky and more intensive than trying new technology. In fact, rather like when you're bringing it, for those of you in the room that have children that have gone through the teenage years, putting in big systems is rather like watching your teenage children grow up. It's like a car crash in slow motion. You know exactly what's going to happen, but you can't stop it for love nor money. So, are there some fundamental truths that can guide us towards grabbing hold of these opportunities that surround us? Are there some things that we can look towards to give us some help and some direction? So let me just suggest a few fundamental truths that I think would bode well for you and help you in your future. First of all, business-led managed change works best. If you're looking at a technology and it does not allow you to lead the change for the business to be in control, I'm sorry to say you're going to be on a hiding to nothing. We haven't got time here today for me to share my experiences of what it was like to be the UK's second largest customer to a major US outsourcing company. We spent £1 billion with them over 10 years. It was a harrowing experience. The business was not in control. Fundamental point, you need to make sure whatever technology you use, the business stays in charge of the change. Second point, designing technology and the way it's run. I will tell you this, and again, it's born out of many, many years of experience. When you're into having to create masses of functional requirements, technical specification documents, when you're using waterfall project methodologies, you will be into multi-year programs of change. It's not a panacea, but whatever technology you do look to use, it has to enable agile, responsive design. I'm sure Rod Wilmot will touch on this a little bit later on, because LV are progressing down this route, and they are LV's in good companies. It's no surprise that Apple themselves, when they're releasing their products, work to 3-week delivery cycles. Second, the technology has to be easy to use, simple to understand, and savvy, and something a savvy business users can get their heads around and manage and change what they need. We do not want developers involved in these kind of change programs. We see it around us all today, of course. iPhones, Uber, all of these things, they're addressing different challenges, admittedly, than faced in insurance, but the principles are the same. It's got to be elegant and simple in its design. Choosing the technology. Well, there's an incredibly high number of new tech starting up today. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of froth. So many sirens are promising you the world. They'll solve your problems, and so you need to be discerning. But there is, within all of this noise and froth, there are opportunities. There are real gems in this chaos and this creativity that we're experiencing. So you have to find a way to scan quickly. I think it's called speed dating. I'm happily married for a long time, so I've not had to do it. But embrace that and apply some normal rules. Don't just jump off a cliff into this new technology and think because it's new you have to abandon your sensible, pragmatic, common sense set of questions that you would ask. And the thing I would urge you to do is look for the tracks of those that have trodden just ahead of you. Don't be the first mover necessarily. It's the hardest way to go. Get a POC, prove it, get your business case, and that way you'll actually then be minimising the risk of the new technology. But we can't get too heavily caught up in the technology. Business change is tough. We're all heavily invested in our current systems and processes, data and people. Changing them is tough. I just want to ask a quick question. Has anyone in this room found an easy way to make significant business change easy? No. And therein lies someone does. Warwick has. Thank you. Well, listen, we'll look forward to your talk later on, Warwick. And what about our corporate positions when we're sponsoring or supporting change? I remember Robert Hiscox asking me about what made work for me worthwhile. My answer, which I hope is common to many, is making a difference and being able to affect something for the better. So if we're surrounded in a world with a promise of great things from this new technology, surely this should be manna from heaven for us. But it's not as simple as that. We're all invested in our careers and our personal brands inside organisations, and as most of you know, technology and insurance has not been a great play to back historically. Many new tech companies fail. Applying new tech to processes is really hard, and it fails. So do we feel that we are suitably booted for failing fast? Within the insurance sector, again, I would say not. But it does exist. F2X works with ASOS. ASOS deliberately back new technologies. They deliberately expect to have some failures inside their organisation. So it is actually working. But the thing I would say to you is that requires a culture and a set of behaviours inside organisations that in many organisations today probably doesn't exist. So my advice to you is, unless you've got the right cultural environment, and which would not bother that much with a little slip-up, great. If you don't have that, don't back it. I would personally just move organisations instead. Find somewhere else that will back you. The final point is customer benefit is king. You cannot make any change, use any technology unless there is tangible, palpable benefit for the customer. So you need to ask yourself questions around where is the customer value in what we're doing? Are we clear on their preferences, on their needs? So I've just wanted to share a few truths to you. In summary, just to close out, what has driven us on as a team and why are we where we are today? Well, we asked ourselves the question around some of the problems we were trying to solve. Surely the industry deserves and can do better. We thought yes, so we set about designing INSTANDA in a way that addressed those fundamental truths and allowed potential organisations to work with something that hopefully they would find fun and enjoyable, which is not something you talk about in software terms in insurance usually. We aim to remove some of the heartache of change, not all of it, but it certainly, INSTANDA gives you a much safer and lower risk way to get started. And do you know what? Looping back to my first question about how do you coexist nuclear reactors with the business revolution, the answer that I had is, well, I wish I knew then what I know now, but more seriously, we did a controlled experiment. And I see no difference to that today. For all of you in this room, there's the opportunity to do controlled experiments. We're not in a world of naysayers triumphing over dreamers or vice versa. There is always a simple way to get started. And if you've already started, great. Look to build the momentum. But those that don't start, you'll get left behind. Those that do, have a great time, and central to the human psyche, make a difference. Thank you very much.